Happy Halloween, Blood Moon Bobby here. Since I'm releasing this video on October 31st, I decided to do this video in character as Dipper Pines from Gravity Falls. Keep in mind that since I'm not sure if Dipper is tech savvy, I will be verbally talking about the basics of these tech specs of these new Apple products. It's not that it's all complicated for me, I am just doing this video in character. You will see full tech specs in this video and I will still express my opinions, but don't expect me to talk about the super specific details as I usually do. That being said, I hope you enjoy this video. Alright, hey guys, Dipper Pines here from the show Gravity Falls. I recently just found out that they actually made a show based on the adventures me, Mabel, and Grunkle Stan had. I mean, it's kind of cool, but kind of creepy, I guess. It would have been nice if somebody told me there was somebody with a camera following along with us between our adventures with taking down Gideon, and then in our run-ins with Bill Cipher, and then that one time he turned me into that one thing that girls really seem to like for some odd reason. But anyway, why am I here? Well, Blood Moon Bobby has asked me to come since it's Halloween. He asked me to be his special guest to tell you guys about the recent Apple event that happened today. I heard a lot of people were expecting new iPads to be announced, which they were, but there were also a couple Macs that were announced that they definitely sound like new computers and tablets that me and Mabel would really like to have, especially since school is starting soon. And I noticed that a lot of these schools' new computers have many of the ports and even similar computers to the ones that Apple announced today. So Blood Moon Bobby assisted me with the technical specs in this video, so I'll just give you my basic impressions as somebody who knows a bit about computers, not all the tiny details, but he'll have them listed to you guys in his typical graphics here. So anyway, let's start off with the two devices that people were expecting Apple to announce today, and that was the iPad Pro. Oh, and by the way, when I'm saying today, I mean from the time I'm filming this, from the time that Blood Moon Bobby's having me film this, they were announced on Tuesday. This video will be out on Halloween. So the new iPad Pros, they come in 11 and 12.9 inch models, and like the iPhone 10 and 10s that I got to see at a nearby Apple store near Gravity Falls, there is no more home button. So you'll be using very similar touch gestures that the iPhone 10 has in terms of going home and using multitasking. There's no notch, which doesn't bother me all that much. I've used the iPhone 10 and 10s to such extent now that even on some videos I don't even notice the notch. It has a squared off design similar to the iPhone SE. In fact, the shape kind of reminds me of the squared off edges of the original iPad I see. Me personally, I don't know if I'd call this design bezel-less, but since they took away that home button, in the bezels are definitely a lot slimmer. And because that fingerprint sensor, that Touch ID sensor is now gone, it uses a very similar Face ID system to the iPhone XS, where it recognizes your face to unlock the phone. And there's many other cool specs that Blood Moon Bobby will list in this video. Oh, it's got some cool cameras. It's got the A12X Bionic processor. Bobby he wanted me to tell you guys that Apple is touting that this new A12X Bionic processor is faster than most PC laptops. At least that's what Apple says. There is a new Apple Pencil, that stylus used for drawing, and it can now attach to the iPad for holding on to it and charging. There's a new smart keyboard folio case. There's a new port that's called USB Type-C, new for this iPad, which ditches that old lightning connector. Unfortunately, there's no headphone jack, so unfortunately, I'm going to have to hear Mabel play several times all night long, and she's not going to get headphones to use them to listen to several times, which, oh boy. Hey, I hope, Mabel, if you're watching this, you better go buy some wireless headphones. and it'll come in more storage capacities, and it'll start at $799 for the Wi-Fi model and $949 for the cellular model, and of course the price goes up from there. So it definitely sounds like a really neat tablet. It's definitely the kind of tablet that me and Mabel would like to have, and it does have that new USB-C connector. And I know at school they're getting new computers and they have those kinds of connectors, and since me and Mabel need flash drives when we do school projects, it'll be really nice that we can use those same flash drives on those computers, and hopefully this new iPad Pro will be able to take them as well. Apple also said that you can charge your iPhone using that USB-C port, like if you plug your iPhone into this iPad Pro to charge it, so that's also really nice. And I'm also hoping that the new Apple Pencil, which I'm sure Mabel is going to be begging me to get for her Christmas present, will hold on to the iPad quite sturdily. I know it's going to be a real pain if I get this new Apple Pencil for Mabel, and she's coming to me saying, "Dipper, where's my pencil?" So yeah. So there you go. That's the new iPad. There was a couple other products that Apple announced today that Bobby wanted me to tell you guys about, including the new MacBook Air, which even for me, even for somebody who doesn't know computers all that much, it's kind of confusing for me, because didn't Apple announce that standard MacBook a while back that was super thin, and yeah, it only had the one port and the headphone jack, but I also thought that was going to be the future of Apple's entry-level laptops. But no, apparently Apple's heard all those demands for a new MacBook Air, and they're giving one out. So what does this new MacBook Air have? It does have a 13-inch super sharp, what they call Retina display, and it's got some really cool stuff in it. It's got 2 Thunderbolt 3 ports and a headphone jack, thankfully. At least a couple products Apple announced today had the headphone jack. It's got that Touch ID fingerprint sensor right on the keyboard itself, and all that information is protected on what's called an Apple T2 chip inside the MacBook Air. It's also got a similar trackpad to the ones we saw in the recent MacBooks, a Intel processor, and some other really cool specs. Comes in 3 colors, gold, silver, and space gray, which is definitely really cool. Weighs 2.74 pounds, and it'll start at $11.99. So now I'm on it. It's honestly kind of weird. Like I was kind of thinking maybe Apple would eventually phase out the MacBook Air, and their laptop lineup would just be the standard MacBook and the MacBook Pro. What I was kind of hoping for more was that Apple would just add an extra USB-C port to their standard MacBook, rather than announcing a revised version of the MacBook Air. This time, the main difference is that it has an extra USB-C port. So it's definitely kind of strange. The other weird thing is that at $11.99, that means that this new MacBook Air is $100 cheaper than the standard MacBook. So I have a feeling that Bobby would tell you guys to get the MacBook Air. Like if you're an entry-level Mac customer, or it may be a better idea to get the MacBook Air instead of the standard MacBook, because you'll get an extra USB-C port, which will be really handy for me, because I'll be able to use one of those ports to charge my laptop, and I'll be able to use the other one for one of those nifty thumb drives that me and Mabel will need for school. So that's really nice there. So the final product I'll be talking about for Bobby is the Mac Mini. And I know, I've heard it myself too, where a lot of people are saying they really wanted upgrades to this Mac Mini, and now they're getting them. And according to Bobby, he's even surprised about the updates this Mac Mini is getting, even for an entry-level computer. So this new Mac Mini you have the option of getting quad and 6-core Intel processors. The base version comes with this really simple Intel Core i3 processor, which is really strange since Apple is really touting this as a much more powerful computer. It's got 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, HDMI, 2 standard USB ports, a headphone jack, an Ethernet port, more ports than I'll ever need. It's got a lot of storage, Intel UHD graphics. You have the option of getting a lot of RAM, It only comes in the space gray color, and it'll start at $799. And so definitely sounds really interesting, especially the really powerful ones that I'm sure photographers and some video editors will like. Blood Moon Bobby has told me that he does a lot of video editing himself, and his problem is that since the Mac Mini doesn't have what he calls a discrete graphics card, it's not going to be able to handle really crazy video editing. Like he said that it won't be able to handle things like color grading, for instance. But he still says it's definitely a really interesting upgrade, and he's used computers with those kind of like similar processors to that entry Mac Mini, and he was able to use products like, I think he calls it Adobe Lightroom and Adobe Photoshop just fine. So just as long as you're not doing some really complicated projects. And I definitely know, like, my parents are considering getting a new computer soon, and that Mac Mini definitely sounds interesting. Would have been nice to have faster hardware with that at $799 option, though, rather than just having that really basic processor. Maybe I should get Grunkle Stan and a Mac Mini. Do you guys think I should get a Mac Mini for Grunkle Stan? Well, when he comes back with Uncle Ford, hopefully one of these days. I really miss seeing them. So yeah, these are basically the products that Bobby has told me he wanted me to talk about today. I know you guys wanted to see me a lot ever since my show ended a couple years back, and I'm still trying to figure out how anybody was able to film a show about me, Mabel, and Grunkle Stan without me knowing about it. So please leave your thoughts below on these new Apple products. Do you like the new iPad Pro, the new Mac Mini, and the new MacBook Air, or any of these improvements or products surprises to you guys? Are you interested in them, or do you have problems? Please let me know your thoughts down below. Bobby would sure love to hear them too. So until another time I can hopefully film a video here again, this has been Dipper Pines, and thank you guys for watching. Hey guys, be sure to like this Blood Moon Bobby video if you enjoyed it. Please share this video, subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment. Be sure to ring the notification bell to be notified about my latest upload. Follow me on my social media pages at Blood Moon Bobby to find out about what I'll be covering next and for more of my opinions. Thanks for watching.